So today I'm working on this, a 2008 Ferrari F430 convertible. Now, looking at it, it looks like any other Ferrari you'd see at a car show, but this one's extra special. This has 483 original miles. So this is, in fact, the lowest mile F430 convertible on the planet. And, of course, Dominic owns it. Now, he surprised me because this morning he came in, picked up the 355, and dropped this off. Wants full detail, full coating, full clear bra, the whole thing. And that led me to this question that somebody asked on Instagram that I thought would be perfect for this car. They said, "Hey Larry, when applying the first ever coating to any car, does it matter if the paint is polished beforehand, or can I put it over unpolished or unperfected paint? In other words, will I or the customer see the difference if it's not polished underneath the coating?" We're gonna answer that today on this episode of Drive and Protect. People who don't like cars are insane! As you can see, despite its low miles, the paint is in really rough shape. There's scratches, swirls, water spots, sanding marks everywhere, and old, brittle, factory-installed clear bra. The Ferrari 430 was manufactured from 2005 through 2010 as the successor to the Ferrari 360, with roughly 16,000 430s produced, and nearly half of them were Spiders. Just for some perspective, the 360 Modena had a 3.6-liter V8 with 400 horse, while the all-new 430 had a 4.3-liter V8 with 490 horse, so a 90-horse bump from one model to the next. First things first, get her up in the air and get the wheels off. I'm not gonna lie, the underneath was really clean aside from some spiders and dust and things, so no major work was done here. With the paint now rinsed, then pre-soaked with foam, I added 3 squirts of foam in a blue microfiber towel and filled the bucket halfway with water before washing by hand. As we're going to find out later, this is the major issue with the paint, washing by hand or potentially washing with a tool. More on this later. All right, so you know that I'm absolutely crazy about keeping my cars clean and my house clean, and the secret is I keep my teeth insanely clean. Here's why. About 3-4 years ago, out of nowhere, I developed this weird phobia of going to the dentist. So me sitting in the dentist chair is just absolutely insane, and I have to get out immediately. So what I do in my mind is make sure that my teeth are insanely clean. I brush and floss after every single meal, so on and so forth. So I'm always looking for the best teeth technology or tooth technology to make sure that it's incredibly clean, and I found Leifin. Turns out they have the same kind of concept as a large throw polisher, meaning they oscillate and vibrate at the same exact time. In this case, it's actually going underneath the gums to get all the tartar out. And to me, it feels just like I came home from the dentist. So when I go to the dentist, my teeth are very, very clean. I've done it twice because I do a checkup every 6 months. And when I go in there, they go, oh my God, your teeth are amazing. And I go, great, wonderful. And I'm out of there. And so it's very, very important to me to have that. And this toothbrush is spectacular. I've used it for quite some time. Unbelievable. The sleek and powerful Leifin toothbrush looks and feels exactly like an Apple iPhone. To me, this is incredibly similar to the success we all have with large throw polishers from the traditional rotary. Leifin's motor shaft oscillation and brush vibration generates 3 times the cleaning efficiency when compared to regular brushing. I also like the fact that there's no gaps or crevices on the handle that collect grime or debris, so it stays cleaner for longer, and you can set everything up on your iPhone as well. The app allows you to set vibration strength, oscillation range, and speed, along with the brushing duration timer. Bottom line is, for under $100 for a brush and 3 brush head refills for under $10, it's incredibly reasonable. I have one at home and I have one at the studio for after lunch. Yeah, I know I'm crazy, but this is like super important to me. I absolutely hate going to the dentist, so a huge thank you to Leifin for helping me get out of the dentist chair faster, cleaner, and less stressed. Click the link in the description and take advantage of the best deal online. Now those are some polished teeth. Then I rinsed again and dried with compressed air in a microfiber drying towel. Okay, at this point in the process, I've washed and dried the car, and you can clearly see that there are scratches and swirls absolutely everywhere, despite the fact that it only has 483 miles. So for test number 1, we're gonna run a tape line right down the middle, create a 50-50. On this side, we're gonna do 2 steps, wool pad and a foam pad, remove all the scratches and swirls, and then install Reflex Pro 2, which of course is a coating, and we'll spray water and we'll see the difference from one side to the other. Now for test 2, we're gonna run an additional tape line right here, so there'll be one here and one here. Up in this area, we're not gonna polish, and we're just going to install Reflex Pro 2, AKA a coating. So this will be coated and polished underneath it, and we're gonna see the difference. Down here is a control. So we'll spray water on all 3 areas to see what's going on, and then you can make a decision, hey, does the car need to be polished? Does it need to be wool pad? Does it need to be compounded? So on and so forth, based on this little experiment here. Test 1 is with a sheer straight cut wool pad and exfoliate. At this point, the major scratches are removed, but you can see that I've installed finer polishing swirls with that wool pad. Now that's okay, and it's to be expected at this point in the process. For step 2, I switched to exfoliate and then a straight cut foam pad for the polishing. You can see it removed all those heavy swirls that were installed from the compounding. Next, I installed the Reflex Pro 2 on the driver's side and then let it cure. Okay, I'm behind the camera right now. I'm about to spray some water on both sides. If you were standing here with me, you could see that this is a much whiter black, and that's more of a black. It's clear as day, but again, I'm not sure if the camera's gonna pick it up. So let's do the power washing right now, see what happens. I mean, fairly obvious what's going on here. This wasn't the big ta-da or anything, but because we're doing it, I at least wanted to go through this just so you can see the difference between uncoated and coated, and then we'll do another little test right here. Pretty crazy. After a quick dry, I laid a second strip of tape to create my test and control spots respectively. As you can see, the passenger side top area is equally swirled and scratched as the bottom. Okay, so for test 1, pretty conclusive. No coating, you spray water on it, massive difference. Now for test 2, I wanted to try to figure something out here by putting a coating on without actually polishing, and I want to see the difference from one to the other. So right now, let's put a coating on. There you go, a couple of drops. Put my mask on. Again, we haven't polished this area. The goal here is to try to figure out, hey, do I need to polish every single car before I put a coating on? And what's the difference? What happens if I don't do that? So we'll do this area here, let it sit, wipe it off, give it some time to dry, and then we'll come back and do a water test one more time. All right, so I'm behind the camera. This has had enough time to cure. Now I want you to look closely. You can see I'm leaving my finger there for focus reasons. You can see there's still swirls in there, right? Now I'm gonna go down to the control. You can see there's more swirls. So I would say the light stuff actually got filled in a little bit, right? And now we'll go to the side that was polished. Now it's perfect, right? Looks fantastic. This is the side that wasn't polished that has a coating on it. You can still see the marks are, the heavy marks are still in there. And then this is our control. Now there's a lot of marks in it. There's no coating, there's nothing on it. Okay, so now we're gonna do the water test. See if it beads here, see if it beads here, and see what happens here. Now, obviously, it's not going to bead here. This is fascinating. I would say that it's relatively close, if not spot on. I don't think anyone's going to notice the difference, but let's see again. Yeah, I would say right now that these two are very similar in the way that they react, which is a good thing. The difference I can see with the lights I have here is I can still see some heavy swirls and scratches, and I can't see any light ones or heavy ones over here, which again is logical. When I'm looking here, I can see both light swirls, heavy swirls, everything, and it's not beading at all. So what's the bottom line here? The bottom line to me is, can you put a coating on a vehicle without polishing it? The answer is technically yes, you can. Should you do that? That's kind of the real question here. If you're looking for perfection, I think polishing at minimum is important. Compounding, if necessary, like this one, is vital because there was too many scratches. But the benefit of putting a coating on without doing all the polishing is you're going to get that beading effect. You are going to protect it. The downside to doing that is if for some reason you say in month one, I don't care about the scratches, I'm just going to protect it and do the best I can because it's my daily driver, you're going to have that protection. But in month two, if you come in and say, you know what, I think I want to take the scratches out, you are going to have to go through that coating that you just put on. So is there a right or wrong answer? Probably not. I think it depends on the situation, where you're parking. Is it a car like this where you want it perfect? Then obviously take the extra steps to do it. But if it's the last line of defense for you, then I would put a coating on the car for sure if you don't care about the scratches and the swirls and all that kind of stuff, because it does make it look better than without it. So hopefully that information was helpful. This was kind of a learning process for me because I've actually never put a coating on a car that required a polish without polishing it, if that makes sense. So this one definitely needs a two-step. So I'm going to finish the rest of this right now with a two-step process, make it perfect, put my coating on just like I normally do. But this was a fun little test. Hopefully that was helpful. Good morning, everybody. Last night I let the coating sit overnight because I wanted to see if there is a difference. And I went upstairs up there and I looked down on it and it looks 10 times better after it cured. So I'm gonna try to capture it on camera here. In person, you can see it as clear as night and day. So I'm gonna play with the aperture a little bit. You can see the line right there. This is where we put the coating and it's much deeper, much richer, even though we didn't polish. So there's the line right there, right where my finger is. And here's the other line with the area that I did polish. So it looks beautiful over here, much better, but still scratched out. And then this area here is definitely white black, and this is more black black, and this is deep rich black black, if that makes sense. Now the next thing I need to do is to actually remove the coating. So I have to remove this because of course this is a dominant car. I want to polish it out, make it perfect, and there's huge scratches in here. So what I would normally do to remove a coating is you can use a wool pad and then exfoliate. That's generally how I get a coating off. You work this section, it's almost like working it twice, and then you blow it out. So basically you're blowing out the coating. Now in this case, I'm actually gonna use a wool pad and compound. Why? Because I also wanna try to start getting out the scratches underneath. So when you are removing a coating from a car, think in your mind that you're doing just one extra step, and that extra step can be thought of as a mow down step. So I'm gonna mow everything down here quick, just to kind of break up the coating, blow it off with the air, then go back in. It's sort of like taking the jacket off so that you can actually polish the imperfections underneath. So that's what I'm gonna do right here. Then, finish the entire car and work my way around. I still have to do, a normal detail job on it. But I wanted to go through the process, and this is kind of a fun little experiment. Check out all the scratches and swirled beforehand and then after I polished. Way better. These large symmetrical swirls are pretty much everywhere on the paint. If you know what machine put these in, make sure you leave a comment below. But to me, it seems way too big to be just a regular palm sander. Maybe Kevin has an idea. Hey Kev, what's going on? Got a question for you. You can see right here, I'm gonna play this video. There are tons of swirls in this Ferrari F430 that has like 500 miles. Very, very low mile Ferrari. But the interesting thing is the swirls themselves, very symmetrical, but very large, unlike a palm sander. So you have any idea what could potentially have put that in there?
Yeah, it's probably not a random orbital or orbital polisher or sander, because there's not an abundance of overlapping, sanding marks or orbital action. I'm seeing like complete circles. And they're not that deep.
No, it's wild.
And I'm going to bet somebody took one of those pressure washer brushes that has a rotating head to wash the car, and that's what caused it, very likely. I mean, they were popular for a while. And,
one of these jobbers. What do you think?
Yeah, I had one that was a similar, different brand, but same exact thing. And I can't think of anything else that would make a perfect circle and not be that deep or abundant or overlapping. So probably just that. It shouldn't be too hard to get that out. They're nylon bristle brushes, so they're not going to keep digging and digging. They probably bend, and I think it'll be much easier to get out than if it was sanding marks.
So in other words, the tool that's used to clean your deck and your boat, you probably shouldn't use on your brand new Ferrari? Is that it?
Yeah, that's right.
With all that, I compounded what's likely to be improper washing marks out of the super soft Ferrari black paint. With the paint now corrected, I prepped the wheels for Gillette Pro by giving them a quick wash and dry. Cars that have ceramic brakes and then you coat the wheels, in the future there's probably nothing more that's needed than just like a quick power wash and drying, and it's going to be perfectly good to go. In this case, I added some pop to it as well, so it's a win-win. It's going to be very easy to clean and they look spectacular. Then I replaced the wheels and we're good to go. With the paint now cool after polishing because I spent time on the wheels, now it's time to add Reflex Pro to match the driver's side of the hood that we tested earlier that had crazy beading on the rest of the paint. While everything was now curing on the paint, I fixed the rear plastic window. Sometimes they have these marks from going up and down. To do that, I used exfoliate polish by hand with a microfiber towel and gently rubbed, and they came right off. You can also put the top halfway up. You can see it's not all the way up, and that will free up some space so you can get in here as well, because a lot of times this is very challenging to get into. But if you work from the back side, that's where most of the creases happen. The outside's pretty easy to fix, but use a little bit of polish by hand. For the most part, you can get this looking 10 times better. You can see already the color is much better, and all those little marks from going down over the years causes little indentations. You can get those out pretty easily. Quick fix, it's a good one. Now, last week before Dominic dropped off the 430, he, like most people, had the same issue with the sticky buttons. In this case, he had sticky vents. He sent them out to Sticky No More. The box just arrived, so check this out. So they're wrapped up like this. I just opened it up a little earlier. And now you can see inside is the vent. Now, this is the old vent that was in there. You can see that there's a little bit of stuff in there that's designed to keep it so that it moves easily, because apparently, from what I understand, you cannot replace this part. He made it very clear, don't ruin this part. But here got redone by Sticky No More. This was all goopy and sticky. Now the trick is, you can see, if I were to put this in, this is upside down. So this is right side up, upside down. If I were to put it in these clips this way, you can see this little area right here, it's sticking out, and I'll break it and it'll cost a fortune. So it's very important when we do this. You see how I made that perfectly straight? Now it can slide in. Again, it's going to go in like this, but upside down, if this isn't perfectly in the middle, I'll break a very expensive part. So make sure it's straight. All right, perfect. And then I go in, you wiggle it in just a little bit, like that, and then once it gets in, listen, it snaps in and you're good to go. Now, Sticky No More, this is all gone. I mean, it's perfect. This moves, opens and closes, and then you of course have your vent. Now, for all 5 of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they were $100 a piece. So for $500, he has a brand new quote unquote dashboard or vents. I think it's incredibly reasonably priced to be able to do that and keep the same or the existing part. I'll put a link down below to Sticky No More. Once I'm done with all these things, it's now time for a ride. Much like the 355 Ferrari, which is a 3.5 liter, the 430, the one I'm driving now, is a 4.3 liter, 483 horsepower, 12.1 in the quarter mile. This thing is a beast. More importantly, it sounds like this. You just can't beat the exhaust on a Ferrari, no less a 430. As you can see in here, it's covered in carbon fiber. This is about a $5,000 upgrade. And of course, we're driving on carbon ceramic brakes, a $17,000 upgrade. We're in a convertible. This thing is absolutely amazing, fantastic, and beautiful. But the overall arching amazingness with this is, I'm looking right now, I have 508 miles. I've driven this about 30 miles already. So it's the lowest mile Ferrari 430 convertible in the country. Now, what makes 430 so special is the first year that they had the Manatino right here. You can see this gives multiple options or drive modes, which they didn't have in, let's say, the 355 or the 308, so on and so forth. So it makes it special because you have the F1 paddle shifters, you have the crazy exhaust, drop top, and of course the 430 badge, and you can do this. Oh, but man, do they make engines. Listen to that exhaust. Woof. And I will say on a side note, everybody wants to talk about 6-speed, 7-speed, manual, whatever. They're awesome. Clink, 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 clink. My R8, I love it. But there is something super special about driving an F1 as well. You could just pound through the gears right now. As always, guys, if you have any questions, reach out to me, Larry at ammonyc.com. But for now, it's time to pound through some gears. I'll see you next week. Woo! Yeah! And we're out! Woo! Ain't nothing better than that. People who don't like cars are insane!